Fantastic.
It's Kirschen Wandertheater.
Wow.
And it's been going for like 25 years.
Yes. Is that a tradition for some years, you know?
Well, they started actually 40 years ago with a group in England, and then they moved to France, and then they split, and the one part formed this group here, and there's the lake, you see,
Yes.
and there's the baby dog.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, in Germany, I like to know that all the lakes usually called the See or something.
See, yeah.
Yes.
That there is Glindor See.
Glindor See, fantastic, and it's very near to.
And those are ducks.
Amazing. So, how many lakes in that area?
It's actually there's a lot. It's called the Brandenberger Seeplatte, and there's Havelland it's called, and there's everywhere around here. There's lakes.
So this is the Lake District, basically.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Yes, fantastic.
Anyway, I'm going to go back into the tent now.
Yes, and this is a very flat area.
It's flat, yeah.
And
we used to get winter here. It seems to, with global warming, we actually get. It doesn't really get cold in the winter. Last year there was no snow. It was like, I think it was like one day where we had 2 inches. It's not Siberia. Your colleague just told me it's -30 there.
Well, it's basically speaking, it's quite warm.
That's warm.
Yes, it feels like 18 or 20, you know, minus.
Oh, that's warm then.
It is basically, it is extremely warm, considering that when you are at -50, suddenly moving up to -30, it's going up 20 degrees up, you know.
Oh,
and you suddenly start feeling extreme exhaustions and things, you know, because everything suddenly get very warm. This is the phenomena.
Well, 1 year, I think about 3 years ago, the lake froze, and that's the only time. And then sometimes we get snow, but I mean it's not very it's not really cold anymore.
Yeah. So how long have you been staying around this area near Potsdam?
Well, I've been with this theatre group for 9 years. So I mean, what I have done often actually, because it's a summer theatre. Yeah, we play from April until the end of November. But in November we play in the theatre. But in the summertime and spring we play outside. Anyway, but I've been here for 9 years, and often though, then in the winter I'll go and do other projects with other groups. I've done other things. But recently, I've been lazy and I haven't been doing anything. I've just been having a holiday in the winter.
Okay, excellent. But is that a very sort of very long tradition? You know, some centuries-old traditions to having this type of theaters. You see, or theater communities, or this type of groups. You see that they've been living together, banded together. You know, moving around, playing around.
Years ago, yes, it was more. I mean, they actually used to travel with these caravans. You know, they used to take them everywhere they went, and they'd stay places. We don't do that anymore because, it's too expensive. Actually, it's because of diesel or like fuel costs more now than it used to.
Oh yes,
and it's just easier to go somewhere and come back. Or stay there. Sometimes we stay in hotels wherever we go. We go mostly. We play in the area around Berlin, in Berlin as well, of course. Also in France, we usually go every July. We go on tour in France for 1 month. So I actually play. Crazy as it may seem, my mother language is English, and I play actually just in German and French.
Excellent.
I
So,
studied theatre in France, though. I studied
right,
theatre
right.
in Paris.
So how good is your German? So and how the German audience receives you?
I mean, I've been doing it now since 20 years. So, I mean, occasionally there'll be a few words and they'll think, actually, what a lot of people seem to think is that I'm Dutch, because the Dutch language is very close to German, and they speak good German. So, but most people don't know that I'm British. They don't recognize my accent.
Oh, okay.
Because it's light, yeah, my accent. It's
Right.
I mean, in French, my French, because I don't live in France, it's deteriorated. But when I lived in France, people they could. This is a bit similar. They couldn't place where I came from. They'd say, "Where are you from in France?"
I noticed one thing that actors, British actors, usually imitate different accents so well. Is that because of your complex language that you have? The English language is extremely complex in terms of having so many accents and different ways of pronouncing things and so on.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm actually I've got an accent in English. My accent. I'm from Wales. Yeah, and there's regional accents all over the UK, and so I mean, I'm used to hearing accents. And funnily enough, my accent is the little dog's come to say hello to me. Hello. We got this baby dog.
Oh, okay. Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm used to accents and dialects. So, and my dialect, my accent is actually quite good for German because it's quite angular. It's not like American is around it. It's
Yes.
The Welsh accent is more. But I could say something about it. Rwy'n greadur heb a denydd yn da ddau goes ac yn aidd. It's like, and for German, that's quite good.
Okay. But this is the very ancient language that you're talking about. The Welsh language is a very ancient.
Yes. And you
And
heard of it. That's unusual. Most people have never heard of the Welsh language.
Yeah, that's interesting, you see. But tell me, I heard that there's so many very long words in Welsh language. Is it true?
Yeah, the longest place name in the world is in Wales.
Okay, can you pronounce that one?
Well, I know the shortened version of it. It's a place in North Wales. I mean, I'm actually from Llantrysant. Llantrysant is village of the three Tri saints. Llantrysant. And the place in North Wales is called Llanbae Ffythiniogwll, Llantogwll Antesilio, go. But that's the short version. I don't know the long version. It's ridiculous. There's a train station there, and the sign for the name of the station is as long as the area for the train to stop. So basically, the name of the station is as long as the station is.
Amazing, just amazing. But just amazing. But tell me, how many do you think people?
My boss has just walked in.
Right.
The creator of the theatre company.
Fantastic. Who's that? Oh, okay, that's him.
Novosibirsk. It's minus 30 degrees in
Yes, we're staying in a very warm homes and so on. Yes, basically. And due to the COVID, you see, people don't venture out much nowadays.
Interestingly, yesterday, what I do as well as this here, sort of parallel with this, I work as a clown in hospitals. I do visit children in hospitals dressed as a clown. Yeah.
Okay.
We travelled yesterday on the train for 2 hours, and the trains are almost empty. It's unbelievable. Like nobody's going out really.
Mm-hmm.
They are being, and you have to wear a mask everywhere, and
Just amazing. You see how life have changed,
yeah.
lately.
How is it there? Is it bad?
It is extremely so because of the very much rising tide of the infection, because of the cold climate and so on. It's exacerbating somewhat.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, but I think the people have been quite happily using all the public transportation and so on, and mostly having the tradition of going to hospitals because of the free medical services and so on. There, and that the places where the people catch the virus, very easily, mostly in hospitals.
Yeah, actually, the hospital I was in yesterday, they had 25 of the workers there had COVID. So they actually 2 weeks ago it was closed. The hospital, it was closed for a week.
Right. Yeah.
Now, when you arrive, you have to have a test immediately. They test you straight away.
And they give you the results immediately?
Well, no, the results take 2 hours.
Oh, 2 hours. Okay.
So yeah, it's a bit crazy system. I mean, in 2 hours you can infect a lot of people, can't you? So I mean,
exactly, yes. But going back to your homeland or home country, like Wales, you born to which county are you from?
Gwent.
Oh, okay.
Gwent is in the southeast.
Southeast of the yes.
1 hour from Cardiff.
Okay. But
I
tell me.
studied there as well.
Okay. So how much the Wales change, throughout the years? Have you visited the place back home?
Do you mean has it changed a lot there?
Yes, has it changed a lot since your childhood times and so on? Is that the prosperous part of UK? That is
no.
the question.
It's it has changed a lot, because when I was a kid, there was a lot of steel factories there. There was a lot of mining, and there was a lot of that was the main two industries: steel, heavy industry, and that's all gone now.
Gone.
It's all gone, and people. What do they do? I ask myself the same thing sometimes. What do they do? I mean, everybody. There's a lot of service industries. A lot of like builders and people do a lot of that sort of thing, and it has changed a lot, basically. I mean, especially from where I'm from, it's all the industry is gone, really.
Okay.
I mean, there was a big steel factory there, and it's now been made into a housing estate. There's just houses there.
Amazing. So that the entire landscape of the jobs landscape and everything changed.
Yeah.
Basically, yes. So you can see the lads who's been working in the mill factories and their kids now working in the big shopping malls or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And putting something on the shelves.
All right. I mean, there are some factories there, but it's not a great deal. It's a they call it a service society, Britain. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. So basically, it's all been moved to the East Asian countries and so on.
Well, it's a bit similar everywhere, really. I think.
Yes,
it
is. Yeah, it is.
It's more exaggerated in Wales because it was a heavy industry place.
That's right.
But
yeah, it was
that sort of like steel and coal. It's all produced in China and Brazil now, isn't it? That's where.
That's right. Yeah. Even in
really.
some unknown places, like maybe in the, even like Indonesia or something, or Malaysia or something. Some other places.
Clothing's
like
all made in Bangladesh, Malaysia.
That's right. Yeah, everything. So nowadays, people don't do even their own trousers and everything. You see, they've all been made somewhere else. You see, even underwear, I suppose.
There was something I was wanted to ask you, actually, because I was reading an article recently about there's some communities being set up in Siberia, like communes, sort of pseudo hippie communes, where you can actually get paid to go and live in Siberia. Is that still happening?
I think there are some.
Russians need to go and live there and start.
Yeah, there are some communities, I suppose, and there are some religious groups that because Siberia has always been the place, a refuge for the people who are seeking for some religious freedom. And,
okay, why?
And because this is the place where people were sent, who used to be sent away from Moscow or some other places.
Yeah, yeah.
As a punishment, such as
Yeah.
This is the place for the exiles. The Russians used to send away to Siberia for some hot heads to cool down a little.
Or freeze down.
Oh yes, the freeze down. Yes, freeze down a little bit of their tempers and things. And some people, stay there, for the lack of any possibility of going back to Central Russia, so-called, or the western part of Russia. And that's why, some freedoms are tolerated in Siberia traditionally, because the people think that it is okay to for the other people have their own opinions and things, which is a little bit of freedom induced by cold weather and the harshness of climate.
Yeah, I mean, I can't understand how. I mean, these communities are independent. I mean, in the winter,
I think there are some communities are quite independent. They want to live off their own land and things. And it used to be the some religious communities, old believers, so-called, because there was some religious the schism in some years in the 17th century and so on. And a vast group of people moved to Siberia because of the religious beliefs and things.
Okay.
They were quite opposite to the government sponsored religious institutions.
That's why there's so many shamans in Siberia.
Oh, the shamans, I think it's the original native stuff, because there were so many native Aborigines groups, and due to the lack of medicine or any medical services, people used to rely on shamans.
Okay.
As a medicine man, basically.
Yeah.
But going back to your country, tell me, does people speak Welsh language nowadays, or is it they speak?
I mean, I actually missed it by 2 years. Everybody learns it in school now. It's
nowadays.
You have to, yeah. And the number of people speaking it has gone up. It's one of the rare of a minority language.
So this is the revival of the Welsh language.
Like the early 1900s, they tried to kill the language. The English authorities, they made it. The children weren't allowed to speak Welsh basically in school. But anyway, I think it's 17% speak it as their first language, and they're mostly in the north and the west. And a lot of people speak bad Welsh now, but and everybody has got some understanding of it.
Okay. Well, tell me, when was this golden age of the Welsh language?
The golden age would be, I suppose in like 14th, 15th, 16th century.
Okay. And there was a theater?
The first recorded poetry in Europe that's written, the first poetry that was ever recorded is Welsh. I think it's the second oldest language in Europe.
That's right, yeah.
It's actually the original British language.
Oh, I think so, yeah.
England got invaded, or Britain got invaded by the Vikings, the French,
Romans, I suppose,
Romans, and the Saxons, the Germans.
The Germans, yeah.
I mean, in the early, I think, like 8th, 7th, 8th, 9th century, they still spoke a mixture of French and German, and then of course it all mutated and became English. But like I say, it used to be the language of the UK. I mean, and then it got forced further and further out.
Okay.
Then you had Cornish,
Is it similar?
And Wales Welsh.
Does Cornish sound similar? The Cornish language?
I can't say. I never heard Cornish. I don't know.
Okay, maybe it doesn't exist.
It still does exist, but it died basically.
Okay, yes.
It's more of an intellectual pursuit. It's a bit like ancient Greek or something, you know. Just this language that you can't use really.
Right. Yes. But tell me, was it a theater in Welsh language?
What have I done Welsh language?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. You have done.
I did one show where I spoke Welsh. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And is there any tradition of Welsh theater?
Yeah. And there's a TV channel as well where they speak Welsh.
Okay.
S4C it's called.
Fantastic.
Is there a Siberian language actually?
Oh yes, we do speak our own language, yes, and there are several languages. But I think one of the biggest one is the so-called the Saha language, which is the language I speak, for example, and Albert does.
Do you speak that at home? Do you?
Yes, we do speak at home.
You don't what? You don't speak Russian at home, then you speak Siberian.
We do speak Siberian at home, yeah.
Wow, great.
But it's more like sounds like Turkish, you see.
Does it sound like Turkish? Does it?
It sounds like Turkish, you see.
Oh, okay.
And maybe similarities. Half of the words is similar. You know?
Oh, really?
Yes, indeed.
How is that happening? Are they related, the languages?
Very much so, I think, because they're so bizarrely similar.
Ah, that's weird.
Yes, it's very weird. For example, I've been watching recently, you know, some Turkish soap operas, and basically it's quite understandable. You see what they're saying, you know.
Wow.
Yes, especially there were some ruffians, you know, in that soap opera, and they have a very limited language skills and or the very limited vocabulary of Turkish languages. They mostly spoke like, you know, go, get, you know, sit, eat, or something like that, and it was absolutely 100% our language.
Wow.
Basically,
I mean, I know like Hungarian, apparently. Hungarian and Finnish are some way related.
Oh, yes, they're some way related, yes.
It was some tribes that came out of the area of China, and they migrated across Europe.
That's right, yeah. Because some people, that's right, yeah. Some people in my country, in Siberia, they still speak the language which is similar to the these people, you see, the Hungarian language, and you know, and the rest, you see.
So, and same thing with Turkish then. Were they like, did the Turkish language originate in Siberia then? Did they
apparently there's some versions of this idea, you know, goes around in our places. Yes, people think that it is possible. Yeah.
Ah, interesting.
Because Turkish people come from somewhere, so they claim they come from Siberia somewhat. But we don't really know about that, you see.
So do you eat Turkish sandwich then, döner in Siberia?
I think it's a kind of late invention, you see, later one of the more prosperous places, you see. Because
I think it's probably invented in Berlin actually, because it's like the national food of Berlin is döner kebab, you know, kebab.
Exactly.
And they're everywhere. There's absolutely everywhere. There are döner kebab houses everywhere.
Yes. But tell me, you know, how do you learn your German, for example?
Well, when I came to Germany first in when it was 1998, I think. I was a musician. I played music in a show, and one of the actors, he told me, "Oh, you should come to my theater. I'm going to go and work in now because the director there likes foreigners." Because I didn't speak any German at all, nothing.
Okay.
So I went there and I did a show. And actually outplayed it in English. It was Peter Handke, Casper, and it was a big success. And then the director asked me to do, this is a show you'll know, Platonov.
Okay.
Chekhov, yeah?
Yes.
Platonov.
Platonov, yes.
So I did Platonov, and I played Platonov, and I didn't speak any German. And it was, like a telephone book of text, yeah? It was like really loads of text.
Right.
So I actually learned it all like a parrot. And I didn't understand. Well, I had the translations of everything, and actually, in retrospect, that's how I learned. It was funny. I learned speaking German like Chekhov, and I was talking to people and saying, because I had sentences, and that's how children learn languages. Yeah, they don't learn vocabulary and grammar and grammatic. They just learn sentences, and that's exactly what I did. And it's actually a really good way to learn a language. I actually learned sentences, and then afterwards I did a few courses because I was, especially German's like based on grammar. It's grammar, and I try and understand why they change the words all the time. Same as Russian. Russian's really
right.
So I learned think almost in a way like music. I was learning orally the words and learning it like that, and it was very difficult. And I've never done. I mean, it was a real huge challenge, and I did it, and it's a good incentive. I mean, I'm actually late. I'm quite lazy, and the incentive of having like 200 people watching you and saying things makes you think, oh shit, I've got to learn this really well. And some people didn't understand some stuff I said, but I mean, I was in a good atmosphere though. I was in an atmosphere where everyone spoke. I mean, in Germany, you've got to speak. It's a bit like Russian theater. You've got to speak perfect. They call it Hochdeutsch.
Hochdeutsch, yes.
It's a sort of a neutral German, which doesn't exist really. It was invented for the stage, so that same as Britain. Like actually in Germany, there's a lot of dialects with different words, even and so people speak on the stage a sort of a neutral German that everyone can understand.
Right.
So I was in this atmosphere of everybody speaking really good German. So I said, presumably, I actually that's how I learned German. I was hearing good German all the time, and I was apart from it was a bit strange because a lot of my vocabulary was like Chekhov.
Okay.
Speaking in this sort of romantic way with people.
Yes. So how well Chekhov loved in Germany?
Oh, he's very popular. He's well, not only Germany, in Britain as well. They really like Chekhov. I love Chekhov. I think Chekhov's Chekhov. I really love Brecht as well. It's very good.
Yes, but tell me, why is Chekhov so enticing other people? You see, the Germans or the British, why is his plays interesting?
Well, it's so rich in characterizations, and there's a lot of material. There's a lot of humanity in them, and the relationships are interesting. I mean, he was just one of the greatest theatre writers, wasn't he?
Yes, exactly.
It's interesting for the audience, and it's interesting for the actors. So I mean, everybody's happy.
I think he did something else. You see, either he was a doctor or something, originally.
Yes,
by trade, and then he had this just a custom of writing down everything, what he saw, what he heard, around on his travels and things, and then he collected all these books.
He filmed everything, couldn't he?
Yes, and then he was a very keen person, you see, in terms of listening to other people and stuff,
Yeah,
all these different stories.
I mean, there's some great Russian writers. I mean, I really like Dostoevsky as well.
Yes, he used to like coming to Germany.
Oh, have you been many times here?
I think he's been many times in Germany. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, and he had many interesting diaries, you see, of his German stays. His German vacations.
Okay.
Mostly berating some his own compatriots, behaving rudely and badly in some beautiful German surroundings.
Drinking too much vodka, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, or behaving in a very sort of, haughty way. Haughty way. That's he didn't like it very much. Yeah, because he's a very intransigent character, himself, but the Russians were very expansive and choleric in a way, and they've been going around, especially the kids. You see, there's a big families traveling to Germany at that time. That's end of the 19th century. I think basically going to Baden-Baden and some other places.
Yeah. The bourgeois people go in there.
Yeah, bourgeois people, because only very few, I think there's 1% of the population or something, had the passports to travel.
Yeah.
In Russia at that time. Yeah, possibly maybe 200,000 or 300,000 people. That's it.
Okay.
Basically.
Incidentally, there's a lot of Russians live in Berlin, actually.
Yes, that I've heard. Yeah.
In Charlottenburg for some reason, but there's this area of Berlin, and I think a lot of them came from that enclave, that Russian enclave
called Kaliningrad.
Yeah, Kaliningrad. Yeah.
Yes. Former Königsberg. Former Königsberg.
Yeah, that's where Kant is from.
Yes, the Kant is. Yeah. But
it was beautiful, but it got completely and utterly destroyed in the war.
That's right. Yeah, it was completely, almost annihilated.
Yeah.
That is the word. Yeah. Completely gutted out. Yeah. Yes, it was several towns around, and there was a very famous maths problems of solving how to move to some other places in Königsberg, because there are 7 bridges of Königsberg.
Okay.
Yes, and then you have to solve some mathematical problems. You see, that was the time. That was the things, but they're all gone. You see, they're no longer, these bridges are there.
I've seen paintings because I'm actually quite interested in Kant, and I mean, I spending years trying to understand it, as a lot of other people probably, if it's even possible to understand. But yeah, there's paintings of Königsberg in its glorious days, and it was absolutely beautiful.
Beautiful, yeah. I think the Kant, the Immanuel Kant, quite liked the place, and he never moved out of his town and stayed there. Yes.
And incidentally, we're talking about Chekhov. The show before last that we did, it was like a review with lots of scenes in it, and I actually did again a Chekhov scene in that. The Bear, do you know that?
Yes.
You know, it's a classic. It's comedy scene, yeah. With
comedy, yes. He had many of these stories, little stories, you see, so funny and very sort of full of myths and inspirations, you see, in some way.
Yeah.
And he noticed things which is other people just go on by passing, you see, but he finds out and highlight them and somehow tells them, how interesting it is and so on. Otherwise, in life, people wouldn't.
I mean, Dostoevsky was a fantastic observer of, psychology. Really, he could have been a psychologist.
That's right. Yeah, he could have been. Yes, exactly. But talking about the Chekhov and so on, what other plays people like to watch in Germany? What other authors?
There's a lot of theaters in Berlin. There's a lot of theaters in. Well, actually, I lived for a long time in Munich and also in Stuttgart, and there's Stuttgart's ridiculous. There's like 20 theaters, so they like a lot. A lot of things. There's a lot of. They do Shakespeare a lot here. Brecht. I think Sarah Kane is quite popular. I actually don't like Sarah Kane, but yeah.
So this is a very, very vibrant theater scene in Germany.
Yeah, there is really. Yeah.
Yes, and maybe much more vibrant than anywhere else.
What about you're in Novosibirsk, yeah?
No, this is a city called Yakutsk, which is far north from Novosibirsk. Yes.
Is there a theater there?
Yes, we do have basically 2 theaters, which is one is the native Yakutian language or the Siberian language.
Wow.
Another one is Russian.
Turkish.
Yes, exactly. Another one is Russian. It's a very classical Russian theater.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, the theater was built not very long ago. In fact, I think it was built during the war, during the last Great War.
Uh-huh.
I think by the order of Uncle Joe, the Stalin.
What's the relationship then between? I mean, are Siberians nationalist? I mean, Siberian nationalist, or are they happy to be part of the Russian Federation?
I think they're very much happy to be because of the extreme sparseness of the population, very low density.
Yeah.
The people longing to see other people.
Yes. Yes.
And they see this Russian presence as a blessing, you know. Otherwise, this place will be extremely lonely. Hello?
I just got to send a message to you, tell them I'm not available.
Okay, good. Yes.
Yeah, just a second.
Yes, yes. Sure.
Yeah. Okay. I'm back again now.
Right. Yeah.
There we go.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
As a person who have picked up German, you know, along the way, because of your job training. Hello.
Yeah.
Can you distinguish different German accents?
Yes.
Yes. And how many of them?
Oh, there's a lot. I mean, there's about five or six very known ones. Like I could tell you. I mean, there's Bavarian, Schwäbisch, which is Stuttgart. Bavaria is like Munich and the Bavaria of the south. Schwäbisch, which is in the southwest. Then there's Kölnisch, which is in around Cologne. Then there's Sächsisch in the east. And then there's in the north, you've got Hamburgerisch, and then you've got Berlinerisch, and then you've got Schleswig-Holstein in the very north of Germany. So there, although there's about six very, very strong, they've even got different words. Yeah, I mean, and if people like Sächsisch, for example, is in the east. Yeah, and when my ex-girlfriend was working there, and there were neighbors there, and they were born there and they'd never been anywhere else, and they spoke Sächsisch, and I didn't understand anything. Nothing. I speak really good German, yeah, but I didn't understand them at all.
Amazing, yeah.
It's very, very, there's different words. It's a really strong accent. It's a really strange rhythm. You know, they sound like they're swallowing grapes all the time when they're talking.
We had
Bavarian is actually, I really like Bavarian.
That's right.
They've got different words. There's a lot of really sweet
sounding.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Very nice. Okay.
There's actually like a bit like your town there. There's regional theatres where they play in dialect as well, and they're very popular.
Oh, fantastic.
Theatre.
Yeah.
People's theatre. Yeah.
So, have you noticed that you know, the further west, further south, down south you go, the language become more nicer to hear?
Well, I like Bavarian, yeah.
Right.
And Schwäbisch is not so not very fond of Schwäbisch.
Okay.
That's in the Stuttgart area. Badisch is quite nice. Baden's a good place to learn language because they speak really slowly.
Oh, okay.
Reden so in Baden, and it sounds a bit like somebody playing a guitar. Ich war in Baden dann am Wochenende. Das ist in Baden, die reden so. In Baden, so like that.
Fantastic, yes. This is the favorite watering halls of the Russian aristocracy, you see, of the
Yeah.
19th century.
It is beautiful place. I've actually played there. I told you the first job I had in Germany was as a musician, and it was actually we went on a tour of Baden, which is the region of Baden-Baden,
Mhm.
and it was in the height of summer, and it was actually the World Cup year. We were there, and we played in the Grand Theater in Baden-Baden. It's an amazing place with like everything's painted gold, and it's like really classical. This Roman statues everywhere, and it's all amazing place. It's beautiful.
Yes.
But outside, in front of the theatre, they put a big screen up, and it was a football match. It was the World Cup, and I think it was Denmark were playing Germany, I think, or something. I can't remember. So it was crazy. We were in a theatre. It was a huge theatre, and there was about 80 people there in a theatre where 500 people pass in. Yeah. So we were playing, and it was at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and outside there was a football crowd, and they were like, "Oh, oh, oh." It was really bizarre. We were in an empty theatre with a football crowd cheering us. It was really weird because you could hear it. They were outside actually, but yeah.
So you have the very much similar, to the Britishers. You see the same passion for football and soccer. Yes.
Germany's crazy. I mean, in Britain, there's other sports as well, but Germany is just football, football, football. That's all.
Football. Okay, so this is the football crazy nation.
Yeah, I mean, England's very loves football. In Wales, people they like football, but they also like rugby. There's
Rugby, yes, rugby country, yeah.
There's actually Russia are actually getting better at rugby. They're actually quite good.
Yeah, because there's so many, good stocky guys you see around here.
Yeah.
The Russians.
And there's also lots of like Siberian wrestlers. They'd be good at playing rugby.
If they're tall enough,
I wouldn't like to play rugby on a Siberian rugby pitch though, because there's solid ice basically.
Yeah, solid ice, yeah.
All over you, break your leg.
Exactly. But tell me, is that this is the passion to play rugby is also connected to the love of being busy in a very muddy field, what what the muds have to do something with it?
Maybe, yeah. They should go and some of the rugby pitches you could plant rice in them. They're so wet and muddy.
Yes, exactly. And why is the British people, Britishers like so much of this type of terrains? You see, they love mud racing and so on.
Well, it's inherently you have to like mud because it rains all the time in Britain. It is crazy. I mean, I know what I was there last January, staying at my mother's place, and I was there for 1 month. She's ill, so I was like looking after my mother and I was there for 1 month, and it didn't rain 2 days. So 29 days in the month it was raining. It's ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
But the Germany compared to that is a very much like Spain or something. Is very little rain.
No, it's not. I mean, it does rain here, but actually last year there was a drought and it didn't rain for 7 months.
Wow, in Germany.
It's because it's actually the second most affected country in the world from
drought.
The what do you call it? The climate change.
Right.
A lot of the trees. There's a lot of forest in Germany. It's like got the most forest cover of any country in Europe, I think. 30% of the trees have died.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Because it's so dry. Actually, funnily enough, here where we have got a lot of trees here, and a lot of silver birch, which are Russian trees, really.
Yes. Silver
and they're all dying because it's not cold enough anymore.
Right.
So what they're going to do? They're changing the forestry program. They're going to plant different trees, less fir trees. Anyway, why about forestry?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, But Germany was known for having this incredible forest and things since the time of the Romans.
Yeah.
This famous Teutoburg forest, battle that the Roman lost and so on.
Yeah.
These incredible
There's
stories.
a lot of poems and a lot of books written about walking in the forest. Hansel and Gretel. The
Yes.
story going off into the forest, the dark forest, and
Exactly.
You've heard of the Black Forest as well, I suppose.
Yes,
In the
Schwarzwald.
Yeah, Schwarzwald. Yeah. Have you been to
Schwarzwald.
Germany?
I've been to Germany a few times, you see.
Ah, okay.
But I think I was in no, not Baden-Baden. You see, I was in Göttingen and I was in Heidelberg.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, nice place.
I played there as well.
Right.
Yeah, I really like that.
Towns.
Because I was when we did that show all those years ago when I was a musician. We were actually in Bruchsal. You know what that is?
Yes. In Saarbrücken. Yes.
It's in Baden. It's actually
Baden, yes.
near Karlsruhe.
Yes, I was in Karlsruhe. It's also a very glorious place.
Yeah, I like Karlsruhe, but Heidelberg is beautiful. And I used to go when we had days free. We used to go to Heidelberg because it was a nice place. So.
Right. Yes, exactly. And it's a very university town. You see.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Talking about these university places and so on, there was a story about the German Hochdeutsch, that was invented, one day by a group of very haughty intellectuals who had only one knowledge of things, which is the Greek language or Greek grammar or the Latin grammar and things like that. So they just simply basically copied that and put it this different grammar, you see. Yes, in Heidelberg.
Oh.
That's why you have a grammar that actually does not belong to your language, meaning that to German language.
I know that there was in the 1800s they standardized it because it was different everywhere.
Yes,
and still in Berlin there's actually this dialect and they use false grammar.
Exactly.
And I also know that Dutch used to have don't ever say this to a Dutch person, but Dutch is actually a German dialect. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think in the 1900 or something, they removed all of the German dialects.
Right.
The grammar, sorry. They removed the grammar and made it sort of English style with just.
Yeah, because people were saying, you see, there is one school of thought, and the people saying that the German language more used to have a grammar which was more similar to English one.
Ah, okay.
Yes, because this is the actual grammar that had.
Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah, but then they then changed that, you see, because this very highly educated people, the intellectuals, decided that Germans have to have their own grammar,
Is that true? I didn't know that.
True. Yes, it is true. And this grammar come from Latin, you see. Basically, it's just a simple copy of the of Latin grammar, and also complicated by the ancient Greek grammar.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes. So because they wanted to be, how to say, they're very haughty characters, you see. They want to be, better than other people. They want to be, somewhat, very impressive, to have a very impressive grammar. It doesn't matter, doesn't it actually relate to the language or not, it's just simple as that.
Good God.
I think there's all sorts of complication because of that.
What about Siberian? Is it got complicated grammar? I know Russian.
No, it's very simple. It's very simple. The native Siberian language is a very simple language. It has a very strict order and things.
Oh, great.
At the same time, you can use any word, and use it as a verb.
That sounds great.
It is great, yeah.
And
people will understand you anyway. That's why this language was very much popular, throughout the ages, because of the ease with which people can speak and use it. Yeah. It was a mostly language of the traders, this just the simple trinket traders and things. used to go around and so on. You know, that's how this native Siberian language, you know, took so much of the land, you see, and many people spoke it, you know, basically. But talking about all these things, and I heard one story that the people living near in the area of Brandenburg or the Berlin, basically there used to be a Slavic tribes.
Okay.
Originally in that area.
Okay.
And they had their own sort of language, and also they had so many different Slavic sounding surnames, like Zhukov, Zukov, or something like that. That's the typical Berliner surnames.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yes,
you're teaching me.
But tell me about all these stories. See, that the Berliners have this very keen sense of humor. Is that true?
Yes, they're very. What do they call? They call it Berliner Schnauzer. They're sort of grumpy. It's a grumpy humor. Yeah.
Grumpy humor. Oh, okay.
I can tell you a story. There was a friend of mine. He was in. He was actually from Bavaria, and he was in like the apotheca, yeah, the
apothec, yes,
drugstore, yeah,
drugstore, yeah.
He couldn't find the toothpaste,
mm-hmm.
And there was a guy there, you know, these guys that fill the shelves, and he went up to this guy and he said, "Excuse me, can you please tell me where the toothpaste is?" And the guy didn't say anything, and he just carried on working. And the guy said, "I'm sorry, excuse me, can you please tell me where the toothpaste is?" And he still didn't answer the guy. This is a true story. Yeah? And then I said, "Excuse me, can you tell me where the toothpaste is?" And the guy stuck in the shelves turned around and he said, "Well, it's not here, is it?"
I think it's a very true story. Yes.
Really grumpy, and it's happened to me a few times as well in cafes where I've left.
Mm-hmm.
They're so rude, but they do it. They do it sort of. It's sometimes they're joking, and sometimes it's difficult to gauge it whether they're being serious or not serious.
Right. So, what's about the attitude you see of the other Germans, you know, towards the Berliners?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people from the south they don't like them. But I actually do. I mean, some of them are grumpy, really are grumpy, and some of them are just playing with being grumpy. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, exactly. But talking about all these,
Siberian's grumpy because it's so cold.
I don't think so. Yeah, because you have to be very much full of you know, laughter and things, and otherwise you wouldn't survive here.
You have to have a sense of humor. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
It's crazy. You know, when I was in school, we get standardized maps, yeah, of the world, like atlases, and only about 10 years ago, I saw for the first time the real size of countries. There's a map called a Peters projection. It's done with a computer, yeah.
Yes.
And it actually shows you the countries in their real size. Mm-hmm. In school, we always had maps that they're basically made to make Europe look bigger, yeah.
Yes.
Or more important, or
right.
But if you see the size of places in their real size done with a computer, I mean, Russia / Siberia is so huge. It's enormous. I mean, it's probably like 3 times as big as Europe, isn't it? Siberia. It's enormous.
Yes, it's incredible. Just incredibly big. Yeah.
And it's empty. There's hardly anybody living there.
Exactly. It's a very empty place. Yes, indeed. Someday you may feel very lonely, you know.
Yeah. But traveling is difficult, isn't it? It must be quite difficult to travel.
Yes, traveling is incredibly difficult.
As well.
Yes, we had one story. See, the gentleman was, you know, I had with my brother, you see, a tourist company, and we used to offer some services, you see, hunting and so on, you know, for some elite people, you know, sort of things. And then also we had some character, you see, who used to be going around to do as a guide, you know, to help people, you know, to go around and so on. And he himself was a photographer. But one day, because it's always very difficult to have enough fuel to get to all these places and so on, and the logistically is difficult. And some days we just left him there and said, we come back to you, after a couple of weeks, like 2 weeks and so on. But couldn't get to him only after 3 months.
God.
And he was completely mad, He was, at first he was mad, and he was asking us, demanding us to take him back, because of his job and everything. And then later on, he started, just simply crying and so on. But we couldn't get him, back because it wasn't feasible, economically and so on. Later on, we managed to get him, and when when the plane just landed, a small plane, like a biplane, landed, and he just sprouted to this plane and sat there, completely just hugging to some railing and things, and we're asking him, oh, come on, you just can wait for us, we go to some other place, pick up something, and then come back and take you back. And he wouldn't believe us, he said, you wouldn't believe us, He said, you're going to leave us here, and I'm going to die and so on, that was the story.
It's for me, it's an interesting thing because I was in Colombia 3 times, and it's a similar thing in Colombia where there's regions where it's like there's nobody there, yeah.
Right.
And it's only I had it in Australia as well, because in Europe, wherever you go, there's people everywhere, yeah, everywhere.
Yes, everywhere.
Even if you go into the mountains, you'll see, like 500 meters away, you'll see somebody or something, yeah.
Yes.
And in Siberia, I've never been to Siberia, but I'm just saying, I was in Colombia, and in Colombia, I once went for a walk through the forest, and I thought I'd take a shortcut through the forest, and I got completely lost in the forest, and I was really scared because I didn't have like a mobile phone, I didn't have a compass, and I got out. To cut the long story short, it's unusual for a European to experience wilderness, and we're spoilt, really. It's easy to go everywhere, but when I was in the jungle in it's different in Siberia. Obviously, you've got the problem of ice and snow. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. In Colombia, I was in a forest, and you literally, to walk 10 meters, it took me like 20 minutes because it was like jungle. You can't walk. You can't go somewhere, and I was terrified. Yeah. And obviously there's snakes and there's all sorts of like nasty animals as well.
Right.
That feeling, I've not only ever had that twice in my life, where you're completely thinking, "Fuck, I could die." And in Siberia, that's always present, I'd imagine. Obviously,
it is
in
always
the
present.
city, it's not so bad.
It is always present.
I sympathize with that story because he must have been.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, it is. Yeah, but nowadays, I think the danger is also become quite pronounced. You see, the people nowadays do not go out to hunt much because of the expenses. Yes, it is expensive to do hunting nowadays because of all the you have to have a gunpowder and things and so on. You have to have a good serviceable gun and stuff. And this used to be the natural way of keeping balance, and control of the population of some carnivorous animals, like wolves, for example.
Yeah.
And nowadays, the population just exploded. The wolf population just exploded. And they gather in some mega tribes. You see, the mega sort of, huge mega schools of wolves, you see. And they just go around, like thousands of wolves together. And nothing can stop them.
Yeah, that must be quite dangerous, isn't it?
It is dangerous. Yeah, it is dangerous. It's absolutely.
They don't really attack humans, though, do they?
Because there's no humans, you see. That's why they don't attack. They could eat anything, just simple as that. If anything stand there on their way, it's just simple as that.
Ah, wow.
So this is the danger.
I mean, okay, you got the danger of wolves. You also the danger is hypothermia. Yeah, you can't really.
Oh yes, hypothermia is very much so. Yeah, because you see, the distances from one town to another is quite absurd distances. Completely, you know, one cannot imagine. It's more, you know, you can go like 1,000 miles to get to another town, sort of thing. You know, it's just unbelievable. And if your car just broke somewhere, you know, in along the way, you have higher chance of getting frozen to death, basically.
Yeah.
That was the story, you see, with one family that lived in a tent, just like in a tent. It's Aborigines family, and there was incredible wind. The wind blew up the entire tent, and the family just froze to death. It was the story, you know.
God.
Yes, it is very bad sort of situation. So
this. But I mean, do you have trains? Obviously, can you travel by train? Yeah.
No, there are no trains. You see.
Why?
because the it's so called the permafrost. The land is always moving.
Ah.
Yes, wow. Because underneath about meter or so deep, there is a frozen. You know, it's maybe the mixture of mud, you know, sand and water.
Okay.
And it's been there, you see, from the last ice age.
Wow.
Yes, and it moves along. It very much changes because of all these climatic, you know, changes as well.
Well, how do you have roads? The roads are a problem as well, then, aren't they?
Roads are a problem. Yes, you have to keep up, you know, every year. Just simply, you know, putting the new layer, and so on and so on.
So basically, if you're going to travel 1,000 miles, you have to fly, really, do you?
Flying is much better option, yes, but they're so expensive. Yes, so expensive. Yes, it's so expensive. But telling about all the things, you see, about your ways of communicating to people and so on. But how do you actually get this, manage to get such a skill, you see, of learning such a vast amount of, you know, words and things, you see, that you have to perform during the play? What is
well, I think that's actually brain training. I think you get used to it. Mm-hmm. I think I'm actually, I mean, in comparison to my colleagues here, I'm actually one of the best at it. I'm actually good at it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've never, basically, I've never taken many drugs, so I think my memory is quite intact.
Yeah. Intact, yeah.
I know people, a lot of people who smoke a lot of cannabis, they have memory problems. So
okay, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I must see it is training as well. I've got used to it. You actually, it's a bit like for example, I'm really bad at learning dance steps. Mm-hmm. I know from dancer friends of mine that you actually it's a skill that you learn. You learn you train your body to learn
to move.
What do they call it? Muscle memory, I think.
Yeah, the muscle memory. Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, I presumably, if I did a lot of dance, I'd learn that as well. I think.
But this is the result of the huge amount of repetition.
Yeah.
And the same goes to the brain training.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I can't. Some people. I remember one of my first girlfriends was an actress, and she was literally like photographic. She could like read a big page of text twice, mm-hmm. and she could do it.
Just amazing.
But then she'd forget it. She'd have to read. But it was easy for her to relearn things. I mean, mm-hmm. I take 3 days. It takes me 3 days. I can learn a lot, but it takes 3 days before it sort of stays.
Yeah? Settles in, stays.
Yeah, but once I've learned something, it stays in there forever. I think I just need to like read it again, and I can do it again.
Can you read something from Shakespeare now? Is it possible? Some beautiful phrases and things.
Yeah, there's what when I was first starting.
From German authors.
I actually, funnily enough, I don't know any Shakespeare in German. I've done very little. I've done more Chekhov and.
Okay, but from Chekhov, you see, it will be interesting, you see, because we can compare Russian version and your version in German.
I should go and get. Maybe if we do this again, I could get the text and I could read it, because I can't. I mean, the Shakespeare I could do is all is lost. This foul Egyptian hath betrayed me. My fleet hath yielded to the foe, and yonder they cast their cups up and carouse together like friends long lost. Triple turned whore, 'tis thou hast sold me to this novice, and my heart makes only wars on thee. Bid them all fly, for when I am avenged upon my charm, I have done all. Bid them all fly, begone. O sun, thy uprise shall I see no more. Fortune and Antony part here, even here do they shake hands. All come to this. The heart that spanieled me at heels, to whom I gave their wishes do discandy, melt their sweets on blossoming Caesar, and my heart is bound that overtopped them all. Bid them all fly, be gone. Yeah, something like that.
Oh, just amazing. Beautiful. Absolutely. Yes. And this theater life, you see, it's I think it's quite demanding, and at the same time is something that keep you going because of all this brain training and so on, that goes on with that things, and the meeting all your audiences and the people here. I think it's a very receptive audience in Germany, is it?
I think so, yeah. It's a theater, certainly is a theater audience here.
Yes, there is a theater audience.
But I actually live it's an unusual situation. We all live together here.
Yes.
We live here in wagons together, and it's like in an old-fashioned way.
Yes.
And it's that's interesting as well. It's like a way of life. It's not. It's more. I mean, most actors, they live somewhere and then they get a job and they go somewhere for 3 months and then they come home again.
Right,
but I don't. I live here. I'm here all the time. So.
Okay, this is amazing. This is like in the medieval times, you see.
Yeah, a bit. Yeah.
Yes, it's like a roving theater company.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Yes, and you have your own. So
they started here. They used to take the wagons with them when they started here.
That's
but
right.
Like I said, it's changed now because it's just too expensive to do that now.
So you basically nowadays sedentary, theater group.
Yeah.
In a way, yes, and they're serving the Potsdam area and the Greater Berlin.
Yeah, and France. So we go to France.
Oh, yeah, in France, fantastic.
And we might go. Apparently, we might go to Portugal next year as well.
Right, yeah, which is also very beautiful. But what language do they like in Portugal?
I would suspect in Portugal we would do it in French.
In French, yeah. More.
But actually, Portuguese, if they learn a foreign language, they speak English, I think.
Right, yes. One of the also very beautiful languages, Portuguese.
That's an interesting one, actually. And I had a Brazilian colleague, and she studied. I actually met her when I was in Moscow. She because I did a film in the film school in Moscow.
Right, amazing.
She was Brazilian, and I said to her, and she agreed with me, there's similarities in the sound of Portuguese and Russian.
Oh yeah, there's some similarities. Yes,
It's
yes.
Some sounds are similar, yeah.
Because Russian language is a very Indo-European language.
Yeah,
it's many ways similar to Sanskrit.
Did you learn Russian then?
Yes, I did. Yes, I went to school and we used to learn Russian.
So, because I mean, your mother language is what's it?
Siberian.
It's not Siberian, is it? What's it called?
Yes, Siberian. It's called Saha.
Saha.
Yes.
So do you speak Saha all day?
I sometimes I do speak Saha all day, even at work.
But you teach in Russian usually, do you?
But we do teach in Russian.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you actually teach?
I actually teach physics and things, and biophysics, physics, that sort of stuff.
Oh, it's useless at physics.
Oh, this is very easy, simple.
Oh, come on.
Oh, it is true, you see, because it's all about nature. It was all about phenomena that surrounds you.
Yeah, but there's a lot of mathematics as well, isn't it?
Oh, the mathematics is also very easy, see, because mathematics is the language of nature.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, no, this is not. It's not something invented, It comes from actual things that really exist.
Yeah, but it's a way of thinking, man. It's a bit like you're asking me how do I learn lots of text.
Oh, this is the same as any language. You see, maths is the same as any language, but I think in a way it's better because it's very logical.
Okay, maybe I'm illogical.
There must be some illogical stuff too, you see. But people actually, discovered many things because they studied maths, and that's actually come from there. You see, very, very easy. When you study maths and you do maths, and something comes out of it, like the special formulas or something. And what is the funny enough? They have, in fact, been proven that exist in nature, because everything that we do in maths, it's actually exists in nature.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
Because nobody knew about all this quantum theory and so on. Everybody may thought that it may be some sort of crazy idea, but mathematically it is possible, and then it's turned out to be actually exist in nature.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Amazing.
Yes. Fascinating.
Yes, it is fascinating. So this is the basic laws of the universe, you see. Simple as that.
Incidentally, Einstein, his happiest time was here, really close to here, in Kaput. Kaput is a place on the lake near here, and he had a little house on the lake there.
Right, fantastic.
Very close to here. It's like 15 minutes from here, and he lived here. He lived in Kaput, and it was his happiest time, he said.
Fantastic. But tell me, how I know the Germany is full of forests and things like that, places to walk. You do much of walking?
Yeah, I've got 2 dogs.
That's fantastic. So you know all this area around here?
And recently it's been really good with mushrooms. There's a lot of mushrooms here.
Wow. Mushroom picking is a very Russian stuff.
I suppose it's too cold.
But we do sometimes, mushroom picking, and during summer, after the rain and so on, you have sprouts of mushrooms around there and so on. Exactly. So what do you think? That you have to give advice, you see, to young people, for example, in terms of learning languages and so on? Is that whether they have to learn by like children do, as you said? This is your way.
Think, yeah, and actually, funnily enough, there's a colleague of mine. She's Russian, by the way, Yulia Romanova, and she has got an English teaching class, and she teaches English through theatre, and I think that's a really, really good idea.
Oh, good idea.
You like children, you learn firstly theatre texts. What you learn is like things that people say, so it's sentences. That's inherently the thing that you're doing. You're learning sentences that's said, which is useful, and also you're learning the emotion that go with them, and also the situation. So it's actually a really good way of learning English or any language. I mean, I think it's really, really quite a good. She does that, and she's doing very well with it as well.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
indeed.
I think it's to learn a language. It's actually a good way to start. Is to like do theatre with it.
Exactly. This is the good advice. Very good advice. I think it's a very sensible one too, because this is the way. See, the what English language has done is or culture, where we have such a vast vast depository of all these different plays and things, which is
Yeah.
just amazing. And the people can have absolutely infinite amount of, possibilities of learning plays and stuff and so on.
Exactly.
With some
and then
meaning.
everybody will start talking like Samuel Beckett, and nobody will get it.
Exactly. So
You do it tomorrow.
Well, yes, exactly. Anyway, in that good note, you see, Albert, are you listening to us?
Yes, I was listening very carefully.
Okay. Albert, so do you have any questions, you see, to Rob, please?
Yeah, as we going to run out of time, I have a few questions, not dozen of it. I would like to know about from Rob that what theater teaches us. What theater is? What the role of theater in society?
The role of theatre in society.
If it's not too philosophical question, what theater teaches us, the people?
I think it teaches you. It's an escape. You go into the theatre and you get transported somewhere else, and I think it teaches you also. It's a sort of a mirror of social interaction. I mean, there's lots of different types of theatre. I mean, there's lots of things. This purely visual theatre. I mean, in purely visual theatre, it actually encourages your creative side to imagine things. I think. Big question, isn't it? I think theatre, for me personally, has helped me to understand people better. It's helped me to. It's certainly given me the skills to. I mean, I'm talking from my point of view now. It's taught me communicative skills with people. I can actually communicate quite well with people, and it's helped me to understand people better and myself. So, and I presume it does that for audiences as well. I mean, it makes people happy. It makes people sad. It actually stimulates your humanity.
Oh, thank you. But the question: how do you not losing your true self by playing so many characters, and how you not keeping in touch with this who you are, who you were before you were an actor or something like that? In psychological aspect of not forgetting who you were. And I heard stories that people got mad because of they had chosen the mad characters and they couldn't get out from it. I don't know.
There's a story like that. It's a very funny and famous story with. Have you seen a film called Marathon Man? With Dustin Hoffman. Dustin Hoffman is a famous method actor, an actor, in Stanislavski, the thing of like really inhabiting your character. And there's a scene in that film where Laurence Olivier, who was a really famous English actor, he was a nasty doctor, actually a Nazi, and he gets Dustin Hoffman in a dentist chair and tries to get some information from him, and he drills his teeth. It's horrible. And before that scene, they turned up at the studio, and Dustin Hoffman came in, and he looked terrible. He looked absolutely terrible. He was like, covered in mud, and he looked really, really bad. And Laurence Olivier said to him, Dustin, my God, what's the matter with you? You're okay. And Dustin Hoffman said, yeah, to get ready for this scene, I went out and I slept in the park for a couple of days, and I haven't eaten anything for 3 days, and and Laurence Olivier said to him, "Oh, but Dustin, that's terrible. Why don't you just act?" Don't become the character, act the character. And my school I went to, the motto of the school was actually the character comes from the outside in. It doesn't come from the inside out.
Okay.
I would
That
say,
was in France.
Speaking,
Is it in
I
France?
don't really. I mean, since that school, it's a movement school. I went to a place called Lecoq in Paris, and then you learn it's a movement school. I mean, to a certain extent, that's true, but I mean, with the stimulus of the text as well, you actually there is some psychology going on there. It's not just from the outside in. I mean, I actually do think about, for example, the role of the reason I look so scruffy is I've just been playing a tramp. I mean, you know, I mean, I look terrible, but it's. Oh, I got the doggy again. The dog's back. You have to like kind of become the character to some extent, but on the other hand, I mean, at the end of the day, you're stood on a stage with like people looking at you, so it's not reality. It's not reality. It's not, you're pretending to be someone else. I mean, you're not being somebody else. I mean, you're being yourself, being somebody else. And I mean, as long as you manage to keep that, then you're going to be okay.
Okay. May I ask you one question? You know, a few questions I have, you see, which is I was longing to ask. Well, you know, what do you think about what is the secret of Shakespeare? Why he's so eternal? Why his plays are so modern?
Modern is a funny word, isn't it? I think they're timeless.
Timeless. They're so timeless. Why is that?
There's so much. I mean, because he put in so much. There's so much material in there that can be transposed into anything, and he was just the greatest understander of the human character, maybe. And I mean, again, it's a bit weird nowadays. People like acting Shakespeare as if it's real, because I mean, nobody speaks in iambic pentameter, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He was a genius, though. I mean, it's poetry and content what he managed to get done.
Yes.
I personally believe a lot of what he wrote. He was actually a brilliant writer, but also a brilliant editor. And I think his actors wrote some of the speeches as well. And I know for a fact that Troilus and Cressida, I mean, intellectuals have proven that it's not written by one person. That isn't.
Yeah.
Unless
So
he was complete schizophrenic.
Yes, exactly. Because what I understand
I think Chekhov is similar, though. So, I mean, Chekhov, you can do it in any time. You can transpose it.
Right. Yeah. But in Shakespeare, you see, there's a very peculiar thing is that he has so many extremely twisted stuff, you see, and it's so much of the depth, you know, the depths in it, you know, is incredible. You're just discovering one thing, and then there's something coming out, something that from the absolutely unknown places, you see, just one cannot imagine how deep it is, you see.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're imagining it, you know, it's just unbelievable.
It works. I mean, I for example, I'm not sure about there's translations into German of Shakespeare, and I personally don't like them because they take, you haven't got the iambic pentameter, and there's it's written in a modern language that's easier to understand. I mean, even for me, someone like reading Shakespeare, you have to really think about what he's trying to say because it's complicated. It's an old style of language.
Yes.
Does it work in Russian or in?
I think because it was translated by extremely talented characters like poet and things. You see, it's somewhat has this flair of having a most incredible. Yes, it's so beautiful. Some of the translations extremely beautiful. Yes, like Pasternak and so on. You know.
Yeah, Pasternak. I've been to his dacha.
Yes.
It's near Moscow.
Yes, absolutely. But he himself is a genius, you know, in a way. So one genius has to translate a genius, you see, to make it work somewhat.
Yeah.
talking about
some of the old translations of Shakespeare into German. I prefer them because they're done poetically. Yeah, there's a couple of really famous translators who were also poetic geniuses, and I think if you're going to translate it, you have to do it poetically because it is poetic in English.
It's poetic, yes.
But I don't see why you shouldn't translate it and just make it understandable. You know what I mean? It should have some sort of.
Yes.
But to do that, you've got to be a genius.
And what I understood, from reading about Shakespeare or something, he was like a theater director. He has his own company running it. He've done all this tax paying and all the litigation stuff. All that sort of things. He's gone to the court and so on. There's so many documents with his signature. About on mundane stuff, on the legal stuff and things like that. And the same time, he had managed to have time to write all the things on the go. Just simple as that. I understood there's a very little time he had. He has to write during the day. In the evening, they have to play it.
Yeah, like I say, I think he was a brilliant writer, but an editor as well. I think some of the monologues were written by the actors. And he polished them. Maybe he changed them a lot, but I don't think he wrote everything.
Exactly. Yeah. It's impossible. Is it impossible for one person to do such amount of work?
Yeah. Like I say, there's like really studied people, intellectuals have analysed some of the plays, and Troilus and Cressida, everyone agrees it's not written by one person. So I mean, there it's obvious apparently.
Right. Yeah.
Read it. It's really huge. It's a huge text.
It is huge text. Yes. But tell me, one thing I just want to ask you. Can you advise us? The 3 beautiful movies that you like to watch. Or your favorite movies. I just want to. Yes, because the Marathon Man, it was an incredible movie as well. I might tell you that.
I like one of my favorite movies is Spartacus.
Spartacus, the old one.
Yeah, Stanley Kubrick.
Stanley Kubrick ones, yeah, fantastic,
magnificent. I think it's fantastic.
Absolutely, yeah.
And my favorite films. It's a big one, isn't it? I really adore Some Like It Hot.
Yes.
Marilyn Monroe, Tony Curtis.
Yes, Tony Curtis. Yeah.
And the third one. Ooh. I actually really liked another Kubrick film is 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh yes, it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
I'm a big fan of Stanley Kubrick.
Yes.
But I also very much like I like comedy acting as well, and I really like Peter Sellers.
Yes, Peter Sellers when he was playing the Dr. Strangelove.
Yes, it's a great film. Yeah.
Absolutely great.
But it's not just him. I mean, they're all brilliant. All of the actors in that are fantastic.
Yes, they were fantastic. Yeah, especially the General Sturgeons or whatever his name was. What these Ruskis done and so on,
Yeah.
And then say, okay, this is the opportunity to, make a first move or something like that. It was giving these incredible speeches.
Yeah.
This general, amazing. So fantastic. There was a fantastic conversation today. It's beautiful because we just giving this platform, to talk to all sorts of different things in all different walks of lives and the professions and so on for the benefits of the youngsters that watch us, because we're working for the some talented and gifted kids, but mostly any kids can watch and they do basically. Who are interested and they're always keen to know about the people who have different professions and things, and different callings and all the different ideas and so on, because we want to give them diversity in a way.
Great.
Yes, and also these good ways, your advice on how to learn language and so on by playing. Playing is incredibly impressive and the most powerful instrument that people may have. just in improving their own communication skills and stuff, which is most important nowadays. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Rob.
No
It was
problem.
fantastic to talking to you. Yes.
you.
Albert.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And I hope to see you soon in the future in other episodes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Syria, I don't know. It'd be
Yes,
interesting.
do. Will be interesting. Yes. It'll be interesting.
With
Yes.
my thermal underwear.
Right. Okay. Okay.
I have one last question, please.
Okay.
One last question. You were several times in Russia. Can you tell us about your recollections?
In where was I?
In Russia. You were in Russia several times, right?
Yeah. I've actually played 3 times in Russia. I was in Novgorod. I've been in Minsk in Belarus.
Wow.
And in Moscow, I was in Moscow 3 times. Yeah. I mean, I really like playing in Russia because the audiences are very appreciative. Yeah.
Very appreciative. Yes. People
And
love it.
especially in Novgorod was good. It was a festival, and I did a clown show, and that was really nice memory. Very nice.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think it's a great ending to this conversation.
Okay. Thank you very much. How to say goodbye in Welsh?
Burida.
Okay. Thank you very much. Auf Wiedersehen.